In 1971, Ford created an engine so wild, so unapologetically powerful, it was banned before it ever had the chance to dominate the world. 330 horsepower, canted valve heads screaming past 7,000 RPM. A street-legal race motor built for one purpose: humiliate GM and Chrysler. And then, overnight, it vanished. But what if the real story is darker? What if Ford's greatest engine wasn't retired, but silenced? What if the Boss 351 wasn't just another casualty of the muscle car collapse, but a project Ford was forced to bury? Behind closed doors, rising tensions, government crackdowns, and corporate politics collided, erasing one of Ford's most advanced engines from history. This is the shocking truth behind the 351 Cleveland, the birth of a beast. By the late 1960s, the muscle car wars were raging. Ford needed a weapon, something bigger, smarter, faster than the old Windsor small blocks. The answer became more than an engine. It became a revolution. Launched in 1970, the 351 Cleveland was born from necessity and pure engineering ambition. Production bottlenecks forced Ford to open a new plant in Cleveland, Ohio, giving engineers freedom to redesign the 351 from scratch. They took notes straight from motorsports: high-flow heads, aggressive port geometry, racing-inspired valve train. The result wasn't just a new small block, it was a new species. Two head designs defined its personality: two V-heads, smaller ports, better torque, street-friendly efficiency. Four V-heads, massive ports, canted valves, enormous airflow. The kind of heads built for one thing: RPM domination. The Cleveland was heavier and larger than the Windsor, and under the surface almost nothing was interchangeable. This wasn't an upgrade. It was a declaration that Ford was ready to take over the horsepower war. Evolution of a monster. When the Cleveland arrived, it came in two flavors: 2-barrel, 2V, fuel-friendly open-chamber head design; 4-barrel, 4V, born for violence, originally using closed-chamber quench heads that produced explosive power. Later models were forced to switch to open chambers thanks to tightening emissions laws. But the real explosion came in 1971, when Ford unleashed the Boss 351. Boss 351, the apex predator. Between 1970 and 1971, Ford escalated the horsepower war to a new battlefield. Enter the Boss 351 Cleveland, an engine so aggressive it made GM's LS6 and Chrysler's Hemi nervous. High-flow canted valve heads, solid lifter cam with a razor-sharp profile, aluminum intake, Autolite racing carb, a brutal 11.0:1 compression ratio with forged internals. Ford rated it at 330 horsepower at 5,400 RPM, but anyone who drove one knew it was underrated. Bobby Allison recalled a 1971 race where the Cleveland out-revved every car on the track. The Boss Mustang that carried it was lighter, sharper, and meaner than anything in its class. It didn't just challenge rivals, it embarrassed them. Yet even at the peak of its power, time was running out. Inside Ford, engineers were battling accountants. Outside Ford, emissions laws tightened, insurance rates exploded, and the oil crisis loomed. The noose was tightening around performance cars, and the Boss 351's reign ended almost as quickly as it began. NASCAR, the weapon they didn't want you to see. From 1971 to 1972, the Cleveland became NASCAR's secret advantage. Bud Moore's team ran it on short tracks. Drivers like Cale Yarborough and Bobby Allison used its sky-high RPM potential to shock competitors. Ford insiders even joked about stealing Chevy's designs, then laughing at their tiny peanut port heads. Australian-cast Cleveland blocks ran in NASCAR well into the 1990s, long after Ford stopped producing them. The engine was simply too good to die. But rules change, politics shift, and eventually, the Cleveland was legislated out of existence. The Cobra Jet confusion. Ford released the 351 Cobra Jet, CJ, from 1971 to 1974 for street performance. It used hydraulic lifters, Holley 750 carb, open chamber 4V heads, lower compression to survive emissions laws. Rated at 280 horsepower gross, it was repeatedly detuned until the numbers looked boring on paper. And here's where enthusiasts get confused. Ford used Cobra Jet so loosely that people slap the name on anything with 4V heads, hot rod parts, or even Windsor block hybrids. That's why you often hear claims like, "I've got a 351 Super Cobra Jet," even though Ford never built one. Cleveland? Windsor? Cleaver Hybrid? Or a parts bin special? Ask the owner and watch the panic. The silent execution. By 1973, the writing was on the wall. Gas prices spiking, emissions laws tightening, insurance companies killing muscle cars, corporate leadership shifting focus. The Boss 351 wasn't retired. It was eliminated. Ford moved on. The golden age ended. And one of the greatest small block engines ever conceived was buried before it could fulfill its destiny. But the legend? That never died.